Lesson 104. In this lesson, we continue our study of the second declension by examining the genitive singular and genitive plural forms of we're. Notice how the genitive singular form of we're is the same as the nominative plural. They are both spelled the same, V-I-R-I, and the genitive plural form of we're is we'rorum. Notice how the ending is O-R-U-M, and that's sort of similar to the first declension genitive plural ending, which is A-R-U-M. So in the first declension, the genitive singular and nominative plural were spelled the same, and it's the same way here in the second declension. The genitive singular and nominative plural are spelled the same. So when you see the word weary, you'll have to use the context of the sentence to figure out if it's genitive or nominative. Let's get some practice with this by looking at our exercises. In number 1, est is the verb, but we don't need the he, she, or it because casa is the subject. Weary is in the genitive singular, and that's possessing casa. Prope octam is a prepositional phrase. So number 1 will say, the house of the man is near the seashore, or the man's house is near the seashore. In number 2, nawagant is the verb. That means they are sailing, but we don't need they because familiae is the subject. We'rorum is the genitive plural form of the word we're, and that's possessing familiae. Ad insulam is a prepositional phrase. So number 2 will say, the families of the men are sailing to the island, or the men's families are sailing to the island. In number 3, est is the verb, but we don't need the he, she, or it because scapha is the subject. Weary is in the genitive singular, and that's possessing scapha, and in insula is a prepositional phrase. So number 3 says, the boat of the man is on the island, or the man's boat is on the island. In number 4, sunt is the verb, but we don't need the word they because weary is the subject. In scaphis is a prepositional phrase, and nautai is the predicate. So number 4 will say, the men in the boats are sailors. In number 5, eidificat is the verb. That means he, she, or it builds, or he, she, or it is building. We're is the subject, kasam is the direct object, and in insula is a prepositional phrase. So number 5 will say, the man is building a house on the island. In number 6, we have 2 clauses, one before the word quod and the other after the word quod. In the first clause, arant is the verb. That means they are plowing. Weary is the subject. Teram is the direct object, and non is negating the verb. In the second clause, amant means they like or they love, and there's no other word to be the subject in that clause, so we will use the word they as the subject. Non is negating the verb, and laborare is an infinitive that means to work. So number 6 will say, the men are not plowing the soil because they do not like to work. In number 7, the word sed divides the sentence into 2 smaller independent clauses. In the first clause, desiderat means he, she, or it wants, or he, she, or it longs for, but we don't need he, she, or it because poeta is the subject. Tabulam is the direct object. In the second clause, habet is the verb. That means he, she, or it has. And there's no other word in that clause to be the subject, so we will use the word he, she, or it. We've already established in the first clause that we're talking about a poet, so we'll use the word he as the subject. Non is negating the verb, and pecuniam is the direct object. So number 7 altogether will say, the poet wants a writing tablet, but he does not have money. In number 8, dot is the verb. That means he, she, or it gives, or he, she, or it is giving. But we don't need he, she, or it because regina is the subject. Poetae is the indirect object. That's in the dative singular. And pecuniam is the direct object. So number 8 will say, the queen is giving money to the poet. In number 9, desiderat is the verb. That means he, she, or it wants, or he, she, or it longs for. The subject of the sentence is poeta. Cum regina is a prepositional phrase, and manere is an infinitive that means to stay. So number 9 will say, The poet wants to stay with the queen. In number 10, portat is the verb. That means he, she, or it is carrying. But puella is the subject. Ad scholam is a prepositional phrase. And tabulas is the direct object. So number 10 says, the girl is carrying writing tablets to school.